what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome back to your Wednesday live stream, the Hump Day edition. I'm lifetime Longhorn Livestream. Pleased to be joined by my good friend and esteemed colleague and co-worker, the newest member of the On Texas Football family. My man Jeff Howe is joining us. It'll just be us two today, so we'll probably have a bit of maybe a truncated, abbreviated edition of the show. We'll be here for about an hour, so please throw out as many questions, comments as you want to. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. You guys know how it works. Super chats jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time. Just throw out a super chat and we'll address that. We are expecting a special guest. Sometimes I don't like to reveal special guests just in case they don't actually show up. And then you know how you worked in radio, Jeff. You know what I mean? And it's sometimes not their fault or anything. Like it's just ish happens, right? Stuff happens, whatever. And this is a very special guest that is, I mean, they're really busy this time of year. I'll just say that. So I think they're going to join us. I'm pretty sure they're going to join us, but I'll just tease it that way. I won't say anything else. I won't throw them under the bus in case something happens and they can't do it because I get it. I'm a dad now. I know stuff happens, interrupts the schedule all the time.
Considering the first time I was in radio as a full-time, a daily host, the week after that started, the world shut down. It happens is a pretty accurate descriptor of my time in radio, Rod. So,
yeah, exactly. I just will say our special guest might have had the game of their career. Actually, last game could have been. We'll talk about that though. We'll get into that. If our special guest when our special guest, Ricky Williams. No, it's not Ricky Williams. All right, not that. But anyway, that we'll get into that coming up a little bit later on the show. Whenever they arrive. But we got a lot of Texas football that I want to discuss in the meantime. Even if you guys want to talk a little Texas baseball, throw that out there for Jeff. He can talk some Texas baseball if you want to dive into that as well. Okay, there's a couple of items that I want to dive into. We got the SEC spring meetings. We talked a little bit about some of Sark's comments yesterday. CDC was actually talking to the media today, so we got some CDC quotes we're going to get into. But one thing from yesterday we didn't get a chance to bring up because we got just kind of sidetracked talking about a lot of different things. But the quote that Bobby threw out there about the Aggies from Mike Elko, and we didn't discuss it.
Yeah,
the Elko quote.
Let's do that now then.
Yeah, exactly. No time better than the present. Yeah, so Mike Elko at SEC spring meetings, he talked about how basically the matchup, obviously the rekindling of the Texas A&M rivalry. And in that matchup, he said, quote, this was the quote here. Thank you, Matthew. We went back and forth, toe-to-toe with the team that wound up in the NCAA semifinals. All right. I'll throw it out there kind of to Jeff first off. I don't actually know the context of it. I will say that's the only part of the quote I saw. So I will say it's possible, that I took it out of context, whatever. Did they go toe-to-toe? Your definition of toe-to-toe with Texas? It was a tighter game than it should have been.
Yeah. And that didn't have anything to do with A&M. That was Texas not being able to punch the ball in the red zone and turning it over and not handling their own business. I mean, that game probably should have been like a 31-7 kind of game.
It should have been. Yeah. Yep. I agree. That's the reason, those self-inflicted wounds. And by the way, Texas is one of the worst teams in the country last season at turning the football over. I believe they were in the bottom 10 teams in the country in terms of giveaways. So that was a chronic issue with Texas. But yeah, though that's why it ended up being a closer game than should have. The stats would indicate exactly. The box score would indicate that Texas actually had a pretty, commanding, I would say, kind of commanding presence in that game over A&M. Even though I will say this, it's 17-7, so it's only a 10-point win. Remember, in the post game, Elko did remark that they physically annihilated us.
Yeah,
he did say that. So. Physical annihilation, that's maybe he was being at that point hyperbolic. So maybe he was exaggerating then. And because I will say that's right after a game, he hadn't even watched the film yet. Right after a game, in your mind, in your memory, everything's probably a lot worse or a lot better than it actually was. You go back and watch the film and you realize it was never as good as you thought, and it was never as bad as you thought. That's what you realize when you go back and watch the film. It was never as good as you thought, and it was also never as bad. But in the moment, it's That play you gave up was horrible. It was terrible. Everything about it was bad. And in the moment, that great play you made, you were like Deion Sanders or Charles Woodson out there, and you realized, actually, that was a sloppy route and a sloppy throw, and I just made a good play. You know what I mean? So watching the film. So I think maybe he was exaggerating then, and now after watching it, he realizes, damn, that game was closer than it should have been if we just made one or two plays, you know what I mean, on offense. A couple of explosive plays on offense. We're right there. Hell, we're on the goal line, getting ready to go in and score. It was a goal line stand. They won the Texas victory. So maybe going back and watching it, he just had that kind of, because I've done that watching film and after playing the game, the emotion, you're caught up in it. Everything is so extreme and dramatic in the moment.
Couple of things. One, I did immediately see some Aggies say, to CB's point, he's talking about Notre Dame.
Oh, okay.
Then that's even more of a head scratcher, because Notre Dame played for a national championship. So why are you shortchanging Marcus Freeman's team? They didn't even make the semifinals. They played for the whole thing.
Why are you disrespecting Marcus Freeman like that?
Yeah. Man? So either way, it's bad. Plus, let's be real. Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. We know damn well he's talking about Texas, right? He's trying to pump his fan base up. It's good for him. He should be pumping his fan base up. But God, I lived through the Charlie Strong era. I lived through the Tom Herman era. Hey. If you want to call that toe-to-toe, that was toe-to-toe in the sense of you went back and watched it, or even in the moment. If you're an Aggie fan, you're like, look at how much Texas is kicking our ass. How the hell are we still in this game?
I think that was how I was looking at it too. Like, how the hell they were close, and they just punched it in one damn time. Then we got
that was a Tom that game reminded me a lot of like one of those Tom Herman losses to Oklahoma, where you're like, we gave up 400 rushing yards and like 900 yards of total offense. Like, how was this a 7-point game in the fourth quarter? Like we should be down by like 9 scores. But no, the other team's turning the ball over. You're playing a Lincoln Riley team, right? They're turning the ball over. They're shooting themselves in the foot with penalties. Ill-timed execution mistakes.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it's like, oh, yeah, we could have won that game. But then you go back and watch, and you're like, yeah, Doug, your definition of toe-to-toe, my definition of toe-to-toe are very, very different.
Yeah. No, exactly. There you go. And I'm with you. He's talking to his people. Yeah. So that, honestly, we shouldn't even be really concerned with it, because he's talking to his constituents. Yeah, that's a message for the Aggies. Just like when he said the Aggies are going to be the premier program in the country, and obviously Longhorn fans, we mocked that and scoffed at it, but he wasn't talking to us. So he's talking to his people, even though it does confirm what I've always said about the Aggies. Or most recently, they do have program dysmorphia. They believe they are something very different than the rest of the world, how the rest of the world sees them. And I don't know where it comes from. It's just I think it happens to them, a lot. And I think you start to see that over and over. Maybe that's too much in the bubble, whatever it may be. All right, enough, railing on the Aggies.
Every time though, Rod, Mike Elko opens his mouth, I just feel like I've got that Jennifer Lawrence meme playing in my head over and over again. It's like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time Mike Elko says, I'm like, okay, all right, sure, Mike. Yeah. Whatever you got to tell yourself.
Hey, it ain't a lie if you believe it. The great George Costanza quote. It ain't a lie if you believe it. And I think a lot of that is with the Aggies. It ain't a lie if they believe it. They believe it. They actually believe some of that stuff. All right, let's thank our friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery before we move on. Thank you very much to Flat Creek Estate Winery. Did you know the most awarded wine in Texas is actually the vineyard closest to Austin? That's right, folks. Flat Creek Estate Winery is just minutes from downtown Austin, and they've won award after award for their vintage wine, Super Texan. I remember being out at the Fan Fest and had a member of the On Texas football family say, Rod B, they love Super Texan. They were thanking me, and I was like, don't thank me. I didn't do a damn thing. All right. Our friends are at Flat Creek Estate Winery. They did all the hard work. And yes, the Super Texan is fantastic. My wife loves it. I believe we actually have a bottle in the house right now. They're on the counter. So you can enjoy the Super Texan. They have it available at your local Specs. They also have a display at our local Central Market here in Austin. So the good word is getting out about the fantastic wines over at Flat Creek Estate Winery. Also, our friends at Flat Creek not only produce some of the best premium wines on the market, but they also have a gorgeous venue with barbecues and wine tastings every single weekend. weekend, perfect for a day date with your significant other or a weekend getaway with your significant other. That's Flat Creek Estate Winery. Actually, speaking of, special occasions out at Flat Creek Estate Winery, we had a member of the Owen, Texas football family tell us they got engaged out there at the Flat Creek Estate Winery. So no matter how special the occasion, our friends at Flat Creek Estate Winery, they can accommodate whatever your request. So we really appreciate them and all their support of Flat Creek Estate Winery. All right, let's get back to it here. I see some comments about Flat Creek Estate Winery. Shout out to Rocky, because back in the day, Rocky told me from Rocky Knows Best, said that she actually, her and her husband went out to Flat Creek Estate Winery too. So the good word's getting out about our friends over there. All right, how about this? And like I said, we could be interrupted at any time by a special guest, and if we don't, we'll just stop what we're doing and get back to it. But I was looking at the comments from Christel Conti at SEC spring meetings, and one of them was about the Ohio State game, of course.
Yeah.
Moving, the Ohio State game. And I love the quote from Christel Conti. He always has great quotes. Here's the quote that he had about it. He said that they reached out about moving the game at Ohio State. Quote, "Why would I want to move the game to Sunday night and have a short week?" He said, he said no to a Sunday game. I've got to go to church. Threw the church line in there too to make them feel bad. A little guilt. Throw a little guilt on top of that. And I got to go to church, man. I got things to do on Sunday. All right. Boom. I love CDC. Monday.
Scarlet Gray heathens want to play football on the Sabbath.
No, it's a good line though. The Sunday, I'm sure that was in jest. But the short week thing makes sense. We talked about that. Even though San Jose is state or something like that's your next opponent.
If that's another thing, like I understand, like that's the diplomatic answer, right? CDC has to give the diplomatic answer because he's the AD at Texas. I would give the non-diplomatic answer in the terms I would tell Fox to go kick rocks. Like, you're not my television partner anymore. I ain't in the Big 12. Why am I going to rearrange the entire schedule, like mess with game prep, travel, everything you've already got booked, make it harder for football ops, make it harder for your fans that have already booked flights and hotels and rental cars and are coming into Columbus for the game? Why am I going to make it harder on them? Why am I going to make it harder on the players to where you're thinking, hey, we're probably going to be playing, an 11 a.m. game in the Horseshoe. Mm-hmm. Now we got to go play it at night just because the AD decided to agree with Fox and put it on Sunday night. That's not happening. So yeah, there's every reason in the world to not play that game on Sunday night. Fox wants to have their spotlight game be big noon on Saturday. Guess what? This is what you get. You can't pick and choose when you want to have it in prime time or not. You wanted big noon, you got big noon. You wanted the Big Ten, you got the Big Ten. Texas already moved. They already switched dates last year for the Michigan game. Don't forget, last year's Michigan game was supposed to be a home game.
That's right.
It moved because Fox asked Texas, hey, since you're leaving the Big 12 early, can we get a little bit more of that revenue and get that Michigan game a home game in 24? So, no, Texas has already done more than enough to appease Fox. I'd tell them to just go kick rocks.
All right. I like that. All right. Let's get right to it because we do have a very special guest joining us right now, a member of the College World Series competing Lady Longhorns on the softball team, Leanne Goode, former freshman All-American, having a hell of a season. I was actually going to go through some of your stats, but I don't want to embarrass you. I'll do that after you're gone, Leanne. I'll do that after you're gone. But thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. How you been? How's everything going?
Good. We had practice this morning, so getting ready for tomorrow. So I've been good.
How's the team feeling? Because you guys, this is an experienced group. Last year you guys went to the Women's College World Series. This year going back again. Give me the overall kind of vibe of the team behind the scenes.
Yeah, we feel great. More than half of the starting lineup was here last year, so bringing that experience in with us, and our coaching staff and training staff has done a great job of just getting us prepared and recovery and stuff like that. So just going in with a clear mind for tomorrow.
Leanne, what's it like from a player's perspective to be in Oklahoma City? I was there last year, so I got a little bit of a taste of it, just how that city embraces having the Women's College World Series. What's it like from a player's perspective, though, just in terms of how you guys are treated and embraced on the whole experience in Oklahoma City?
Yeah, so trying not to make the moment bigger than it is. I mean, obviously going out there on the field and you look in the stands and there's 10,000 people there, it's kind of honestly an eye-opening experience. But, talking as a team and communicating and just be like, hey, don't make the game bigger than what it is. It's still 60 feet. The pitcher still has to throw 43 feet. So just staying within ourselves and just treating it like any other game.
Leanne, you had a hell of a game versus Clemson last game. You had 3 hits. I believe that was your season high in that win for the Longhorns. Was that your best game you've had? Give us do you think that was your best game or one of your best games? And if not, what is the best game that you played as a Longhorn? You've had a hell of a career so far.
I mean, if I had to date back to a couple of my Oklahoma, I don't know if they can hear me.
Oh, I think you just cut out for a second. Sorry there, Leanne. You cut out for just a second. Sorry about that.
Let
me make a phone call.
Oh, I think there she is. She's coming back. I think they're going to try to come back on, so we'll get back when they're having a better signal. But she had a hell of a game. Matter of fact, while she's not here, I'm going to go through her stats so I don't embarrass her. She had a season high 3 hits in that 7-5 win against Clemson, and I think they may be getting some of the same weather that CJ was dealing with too. And through her last 3 games, she's been 7-10 with 4 RBIs in the last 3 games. She's gotten hot at the perfect time for the Longhorns. And to piggyback on the career she started here at Texas, she was a freshman All-American, had 20 hits, 18 RBIs, 2 home runs, and 20 starts for the Longhorns last season. But this year, 60 appearances. Through those, she has 50 hits, 39 RBIs, 9 home runs, including 1 in the Game 2 win over Clemson. So she has been on fire lately for the Longhorns.
To compete for a championship, and softball, baseball, it's the same thing. To compete for a championship and get to the College World Series and then to go win a championship, it takes a total team effort. I mean, there may be games where 1 through 9, 8 of your hitters just don't have it, but that one is the one that pulls you through. It may be a pinch hitter coming off the bench that's had 10 at bats all year that suddenly has a 3-for-4 day and lifts you to a win. So that's the cool thing with softball and baseball, right? Is you get those performances sometimes. Now Leanne's a proven commodity, but you get some of those performances like, man, where has that person been all year? You look at the baseball team like Ethan Walker in the SEC tournaments, like where has he been all year? And then he comes out and just shuts down one of the best offenses in the country. So to compete for championships and win championships, it takes a total team effort.
Yeah, no doubt. And I didn't even I wanted to ask I had some questions about Coach White. I had to get in. I wanted to ask about her walk-up song. It's one of my favorite walk-up songs for any of the softball players. So if she comes back, we'll throw in some kind of rapid-fire questions. If not, we really want to thank Leanne for taking the time. Because, what did I say before the interview? Ish happens. I'm telling you, if you work long enough in this business, you'll learn crazy stuff just happens. That's why they didn't even come on. I wasn't even going to try to throw them under the bus and be like, they were trying. Nope, because stuff happens. Crazy stuff. But we appreciate her taking just a little bit of time to come hang out with the On Texas Football family. So hopefully that means that she thinks that she's got to make it up to us. She'll come on after they win it all. She'll come on and give us a nice little interview. That'd be great. All right, let's get back to it. CB's got a question here. Says, Rod, is Sean Miller really Sark's doppelganger? You sit right next to him. He does favor his face a little thicker. He's got a little thicker face, I think, than Sark. But they look like they could be. They look like they could be cousins. Kinfolk. they look like they could be in the same family. You saw them hanging out together, you would assume, they're related. They kind of got that similarity thing going. Yeah, no doubt. No, Sean Miller, that was a great interview. I actually was trying to pump Coach Miller up, and I was trying to get him to start bragging that he was the best athlete, like at the current sport he's coaching when he was a player. That he was the best. We're back. Okay, you know what? There we go. Oh, inside, indoors too. Okay, did some bad weather hit? Something like that? What happened?
The Wi-Fi was in and out. Yeah, we got it fixed.
Okay. All right. Well, while you were gone, I threw out your stats and stuff so you wouldn't be embarrassed when I threw those to you in front of your face and talked about how great you were. So talk to me about, because I think I asked you about really about this kind of hitting streak you're on. Like you really seem to be hitting your stride at the perfect time this season. Do you think you are playing your best baseball right now? I mean, you're coming off a freshman All-American year, but right now it seems like your season so far, man, you have really taken it to another level.
Yeah, I would think so. Just getting comfortable at the plate and having that confidence. I think me at my best ball is having the mindset that I'm in right now. So I think before I wasn't in the right mindset. So now getting back in the groove and having that mindset, like I'm going up there and you have to pitch to me and I don't have to hit against you. And just knowing that I can go up there and beat anybody that's on the mound is what's really taking me.
Do you feel that beforehand? Before your good games, have you felt it? Like you feel a little something different?
Yeah, I do. There's times before games I'm in BP and I'm like, I feel good. Like it's gonna be a good day for me.
Leanne, I want to go back to the Super Regional against Clemson. How much did it help going back to last season, where you guys had a similar situation in the Super against A&M, where you've got your back is against the wall, you got to win 2 to get out of there? How much did it help just to be able to go back to that and say, hey, we've been here before, there's no need to panic?
Yeah, we talked about it as a team, and just knowing that last year we had our backs against the wall and knowing that we were in the same situation and to not panic. And honestly, we were talking as a team, and like we woke up the next day after losing our first game and like we weren't worried at all. We knew that we were going to band together and pull it out. So just knowing that we had that in us, it was pretty cool.
Leanne, can you give me a good Coach White story? The one that won't get you in trouble?
I think I would get in trouble for some of them.
All right, no, don't get in trouble. That's all. Yeah, no, I get it. Can you tell us what makes him a great coach? Because he's obviously fantastic. What makes him so special?
I just think he's very wise. I know it sounds silly, but like he always has such a great piece of advice. I mean, he's a star pitcher. I mean, pitched for his career, but I mean, even when we're hitting, he gives that advice from like a pitcher's perspective almost. So, like if we're hitting and like we're struggling to make adjustments, he's giving that like insight of like what it feels like as a pitcher when we step into the box with like confidence, or like when we're hunting our pitch, and he gives like that insight from the pitcher's perspective. So like just having them on that side of things really helps as a hitter. So I would think that's one of the biggest things.
Leanne, I know you went to high school in San Antonio at O'Connor High School. Did you always want to go to Texas, or is it something that grew on you as you got older?
Oh, I wanted to go here since I was probably 5. I think I've been to every fall and summer camp since I was like 7 coming here. I mean, I've been coming here since like Connie Clark was the coach here, and just a bunch of players that I looked up to. I mean, Taylor Thom goes all the way back for me, and just looking up to her as a shortstop here. So it was here or honestly nowhere.
Nice. Always been a Longhorn through and through. Roy, some of our folks has a couple of questions for you. Hope you don't mind, Leanne. Roy wants to know what is your favorite position to play, since you're such a good utility player. What position do you think is your best position or your favorite?
I would say second base. I do love second base. I don't know what it is. I just feel like right at home there. But I do love shortstop. I played during travel ball. I played at shortstop. My mom played shortstop in college there. So like the middle infield just kind of runs through me. But I would have to pick second.
Nice. I like that.
We can get to this other question, Ron. I know Cisco's got a question too in the chat. Leanne, what is your favorite experience of the Women's College World Series?
Obviously, we know all the fun stuff. We got to do it today, all the media, and just, I mean, a bunch of interviews, a bunch of swag bag stuff, getting all the gifts. But I would say definitely like the feeling of going out there the first time in the first game and just looking at the stands and seeing how many people are watching women's softball is honestly a different experience, going out there and seeing all that and hearing all the fans. So I would say just taking it in and feeling it.
And Leanne, one of the things I admire about what I'm jealous of baseball players and softball players is the walk-up song. I mean, it's truly just I love it. I'm just so envious that I never had a walk-up song. I love your walk-up song. Why did you choose it? And was it the same walk-up song? Like, did you change it from last year? This year, do you change it every year? And what's the process behind picking a new walk-up song? Do you have to feel it? Is it, what is it?
Yeah, my freshman and sophomore year, I had the same one, so I thought I'd switch it up this year. And when picking it, I was just I needed a song where I walked up there and I felt the confidence behind the song, if that makes sense. Something that made me feel good, kind of like I get to go up to the plate right now. I have this song playing, talking to myself, and just kind of feeling myself when I go up to the plate is what I had behind that one.
Love it.
Leanne, I've asked plenty of guys on the baseball team this, so I'll ask you, who's got the worst walk-up song? There's got to be somebody on the team that every time they go to bat, it's like, your ears bleed. Who's got the worst walk-up song?
She may be really mad at me for this, but I'm not into the rock and hard band stuff. But Jolie Mitchell has a real go hard song. I don't know if you've heard Jolie Mitchell's, but that is a real hard song. But she loves it. It gets her going. So whatever gets Jolie going.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so personal. That the walk-ups are so personal to everybody. You almost don't want to mess with anybody's walk-up song. It's like, hey, they chose it for their own reasons. Okay, I know baseball players are very superstitious. I was talking to Coach Schloss about this the other day. Are softball players just as superstitious? And if so, can you reveal either a personal superstition or one in the locker room that is also kind of strange?
Yes, we are very superstitious. I'm probably one of the most superstitious on the team. It's crazy. One of my personal ones, I've had the same ponytail since my freshman year here. I've never lost it. I've never broke it. I use the same one every year. It's really silly, I know. My hair has to be the same if I have a good game. I keep the same hair ties. I eat the same food. So if I say I had like a good Starbucks drink the day before and we have a game the next day, I'm going to go and get that same drink. I'm very superstitious like that. I know Jolie Mitchell is another one. She won't put on her game belt until a specific time before we play. So she won't with a game belt on and we finish BP, she'll then go and get ready with her game belt. So we're definitely the two on the team.
That's great.
Yeah, I'll just say the hair tie thing impresses me because I've got a 7-year-old daughter in between like gymnastics and dance. Like I've got those things. They're all over the car. They're all over the house. So we can't keep track of one for one day. So that is really impressive that you keep the same one.
Leon, we could go all day. Honestly, I'm having so much fun. So we got a lot of questions from fans, but we won't keep you because you're loved here on this channel. A lot of folks are really excited about you being here. So thank you for the time. We know you got a lot of stuff to do, and it's a hectic time of year for you. But best of luck in the Women's College World Series. Hell, go win the whole damn thing. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me. This was fun.
You're awesome. All right, thank you, Leanne.
Welcome.
Oh, she was fantastic.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah, she's a star. That's pretty damn obvious. Thank you to Blake. I think Blake arranged the whole thing. Thank you to Blake Monroe. I believe he
goes into that Rolodex. I don't know what all he does. And you know what, Rod? I don't want to know.
Hey, like I said, thank you for that. That was money. Like she was great. I mean, She really was. Like so, and like I said, I was throwing just random stuff at her too that I was curious about. Yeah, the walk-up song always been envious, always been jealous of baseball players, softball players in the walk-up song. Every football player is jealous of that because every football player wants their own walk-up song. And somebody asked me, what would my walk-up song be? I believe I saw that. Arrow Kiss, Rod, what would your walk-up song have been? That is a great question. Because I got to think like a young Rod B. What was Rod B listening to before the game? Tupac, UGK, stuff. I would have to find the clean versions of this stuff. It probably would have been Pac, though. It'll probably would have been Pac. It'd have been something Tupac, either like Maiden or
I would have gone Ambitions as a writer because
that's good. All Eyes on Me.
I remember it was a Mike Tyson fight. I remember Tyson came to the ring to that song one time, and it's Tyson. It's post prison Mike Tyson, but it's still he's got that aura about him and like the piece of cloth as a t-shirt and it's bumping in the background. I'm like, this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. Like That era, Mike Tyson was not to be trifled with.
That's a good point. I forgot boxers get that too. They get the walkout song, man. They get it. Brandon with the super chat. No Trick Daddy, Rod. No Trick Daddy. I would say the Trick Daddy thing is crazy because we started like it was one of the first, if not the first, hip hop song I remember Mac allowing to be played in the stadium prior to the game. Was that Trick Daddy song? It's called "What's Up." Was it the "What's Up"? Shut up.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that? I mean, don't have me try to sing it here because I would embarrass myself. But I believe it because before that, remember Mac was playing. What was it? Leanne Rhymes.
Leanne Womack.
Oh, Leanne Womack, whatever it is. It was terrible. Like it just was not good pregame music. And I don't know who the hell got Mac on Trick Daddy. I have no idea. Like to this day, I have no idea who did that. Probably is like son-in-law or something. Anyway, but we played it, and then the band actually learned how to play it.
Yeah,
I remember that was a huge moment when the band started actually playing the Trick Daddy, and that's when Rod B started doing my pre-game dance. I would go off to the side doing warm-ups and go like dance. And nope, the coaches wouldn't stop me. They would just let me do my dance like I was Ray Lewis or something. And I got a chance to do my dance on the side. And then like basically kind of fans kind of got used to me doing my dance. And it was I think most times it was to Trick Daddy doing my dance.
Yeah.
So it was fun. It was fun. Like I said, I always jealous of baseball players in the walk-up song. All right, good discussion there. And yes, we do need more softball player interviews. I agree. I don't know how Blake did it, but he should do it more often. Like she was fantastic. She was great. All right, let's take a sponsor before we move on. We are having way too much fun because I forgot about our sponsors. Let's thank our friends over at South Point Dodge before we continue tonight's conversation. You can get the real deal today with our friends over at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge has over 600 vehicles in stock right now, including the all-new 2025 Jeep Wrangler. You can get the real deal today and drive away in the Jeep Wrangler, a vehicle built for adventure. Plus, right now, you get employee incentive pricing. That's right. You pay what our employees pay. That's the real deal over at South Point Dodge. So basically, you get the employee discount. Well, that's a fancy way of saying it, but that is a great deal happening right now at South Point Dodge. So you can go check them out in person off of I-35, or you can go online at southpointdodge.com and see their inventory there as well. Get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge, whether it's a truck, car, a new car, used car, whatever you need, trade in. South Point Dodge is Austin's automotive everything, and get the real deal today with southpointdodge.com. And don't forget about the employee incentive pricing, which means you get the employee discount at southpointdodge.com. Hey,
Rod, Cisco Diaz mentioned a little flip as a walk-up song. And as a Houston guy, how could you not go Fat Pat?
You know what? Honestly, that's a great point, Cisco. And CB brings this up too. No SUC, Rod. June 27th might have gotten over Pac. It might have gotten chosen over Pac. It's possible. June 27th. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. June 27th, pretty much the anthem of the screwed up clique in H-Town. And I grew up down the street from the screw store. Like I used to, when I first came to Texas, I had the gray tapes.
Yeah.
I really did. I had the gray screw tapes. Some of y'all like, what the hell is he talking about? DJ Screw was this DJ was famous in Houston for slowing down music. For those who don't know, he slowed it down and became kind of an icon for DJing music in that manner. And then like all of his friends would freestyle and rap on all the songs, and then they became kind of local superstars. And then some of them became like literally professional rappers, right? Music Mania, yes, I used to try that too. But I got my screw tapes from the Screws. I used to get all the guys on the teams who wanted them when I first got to Texas '99, get them screw tapes from the screw store. Like from the DJ Screw store right down the street. And then when I got to Texas, quick story, Tillman Holloway. My man Tillman Holloway, I think he still lives in Colorado now. I think he's really rich too, from really good investments by Tillman Holloway. He told me, Rod B, I'm gonna tell you right now, they're making fun of you, Rod B. And I said, they're making fun of me. Who making fun of me? He's like, people have made fun of you because you still carry a Walkman around campus. I was carrying a Walkman because my screw tape.
Yeah.
And all of them wasn't on CD yet. So I was carrying around, just listening to my screw tapes. And he was like, man, they making fun of you. And you're a good friend of mine. I ain't gonna let them do it. He said, I'm gonna buy you a Discman. And I was like, I can't afford one. I was like, you ain't gotta do it. He's like, I'm gonna buy it. He said, but on one condition. I gotta smash your Walkman. And I was like, you gotta smash my Walkman? He's like, yeah, I gotta smash. I gotta make sure you don't use it again. And I was like, damn. And right around that time, actually, they were transitioning a lot of the screw tapes to CD. So it wasn't crazy because just like a CV says at Music Mania, they were selling that kind of stuff anyway. So it wasn't that bad. And Tillman Holloway is the reason I ended up getting a disc because he bought it for me. Boom. There you go. Smashed my Walkman. And I don't know what happened on my great tapes. I don't know what I did with that. Cisco says VY freestyle in the locker room back in the days. There's a VY freestyle. There's a VY freestyle on YouTube of him freestyling on 979 The Box in H-Town.
Mm-hmm.
I used to play it on the radio show every VY birthday. I would play the VY freestyle. He got like 2 or 3 of them. When he just went on 979 H-Town and started freestyling. And he's good at it too. And I'll say this, and I don't know where they are. Somebody has them. There are freestyle records from Texas football teams from about 2000. No, actually, back from 1999. Since I got there to about 2008 or 9. And I don't know who has them and who kept them, but they're free. I'm talking about all your favorite players in somebody's dorm room or at somebody's house freestyling. Somebody has them. I don't know who has them. Whoever gets them, they'll be worth some good money one day to Longhorn fans.
They are now probably on an external hard drive in someone's garage, and it hadn't seen the light of day in like 15 years.
It hasn't, because a lot of the language on there, people probably wouldn't like it, but it is kind of cool.
Hey, I'll say this, the 7th floor crew at Miami, they weren't the only ones acting a fool, making records back in the day.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm telling you, a lot of football teams across the country, they had these kind of underground studios. They were making, but before we would go out, we would literally go out. We would get pregame, and then we would go freestyle at somebody's house or in the dorm room at somebody's room, and somebody would record it, and then we would go out. I'm not making. There's a freestyle of Kyle Shanahan freestyling on one of these records. I'm telling you, it's crazy. It's wild. It's freestyling. I'm telling you, with like Sims coming on talking like, yeah, what's up? It's Chris Sims, baby. Like, it's wild. It's a wild stuff. And I don't know who has it, but I gotta try to get it so it doesn't get into the wrong hands. All right, let's talk about some. Maybe Arch is a freestyle king. Who knows? Let's talk about Arch Manning for a second, because I've been really enjoying these little exposés coming out, breakdowns about Arch Manning, either for the 26th draft, which he's not, but they're just doing player breakdowns. I mean, he's going to be the most watched and talked about player in college football this upcoming season. And Pro Football Focus did one. And I like the Pro Football Focus one because most of them have focused on only stuff that Arch Manning does well. And there's a lot that he does well. He's really good on the run. His deep ball is a much better deep ball than Longhorn fans have experienced with Quinn Ewers. He's better on second reaction plays and improvisation plays. He's mobile, as we know, right? He can run the ball more than functional mobility. I think he gets deeper into progressions, into those progressions than Quinn did. I think Quinn would panic and his footwork would decay and his mechanics would kind of become lax when he got deeper into progressions. With Arch, that doesn't happen as much. There's a lot more stability, all right, with his mechanics and footwork as he gets deeper into progressions. All those things are great, and that's why people are projecting to be the #1 overall pick. But as we always talk about this on Football Theory, Jeff, any amateur eye can look at somebody and tell you what they're good at.
Yeah.
All y'all folks here at On Texas Football right now can watch Arch and go, he's good at this, and this. What the trained eye is supposed to be looking at is what are some of the downsides in his skill set, and can they be coached up or coached out? Like, that's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And I'll shout out to Pro Football Focus, and I know people have their problems with Pro Football Focus. I get it. I'm sure they can improve it, but they're the best kind of analytics.
Better than what we had before, which was nothing.
Yes. Mainstream analytics, they're the best thing going. But I understand it's flawed like anything. But they get into some of his flaws, actually, and some of the things that he struggled with. Very small sample size. And they point out here, one of the things that I thought was interesting, they said that sometimes Manning has a little too much confidence in his arm. His 2 turnover-worthy plays this past season came from believing he could fit a throw into a tight window despite a defender being in his face. That also speaks to how he needs to deal with pressure better. His Pro Football Focus passing grade under pressure finished at 49.9 in 2024. They said he has to speed up his internal clock and know when to get out of the pocket. He tends to stay in too long and ends up inviting pressure. It literally goes what we just talked about. He gets deeper into progressions. He's a big gain hunter. He wants to go down the field, vertical passing game. Well, to do that, you got to hold on to the ball a little bit longer than Quinn, who was getting rid of the ball, short, quick, intermediate routes, a lot more RPO throws. With Arch, you're going to get a lot more play action pass, more traditional play action pass throws, even turning back on the defense and being able to kind of recalibrate and identify what your progression is in real time. Like he does that really well. But holding on to the ball, and that goes to his pressure to sack percentage, which I was a little surprised to look at. It's higher than Quinn's. Small sample size, but his pressure to sack numbers are actually higher than Quinn. And you would think he's mobile, he handles pressure better, he improvises better. He does, but he's still young and inexperienced, so takes more sacks than he should do. He should under pressure. Another thing they brought up here is his accuracy percentage, when looking at ball placement on every throw was 56.3%. It said ranking him 132nd in the FBS. Small sample size, but noticeable. So we're talking about it's tough to say he has an accuracy problem, but there are plenty of examples of missing easy throws. He did miss some easy throws, mostly in that first start, and those were throws that I think we took for granted that Quinn made look easy. Those little quick short throws, even some of the screen passes that are just kind of off platform, and he delivers on the money, the swing routes, things of that nature, the flare routes out in the flat, stuff like that. I just think that's what touch passes that he'll get as he gets more reps, he'll get more comfortable with. But there are some things. I know we talk about the upside because it is tremendous and I don't want to ignore it, but he's still a young quarterback and there's still lots for him to work on and growing pains that we expect to see.
But if you scroll back up, Rod, that one sentence transition between thoughts says it's all of this, however, stems from inexperience.
Agreed.
I'll tell you what makes Arch special. Like you look at the sampling of games, right? The UTSA game, he's got to come in for Quinn on the fly. And that's a hell of a job because you're going on adrenaline and everything's flowing. And the game is still to an extent in question. But Arch did a phenomenal job. And I think most of that, you're just playing on instincts at that point.
I agree with that.
And that's the case with most backup quarterbacks that have to come in a pinch. You're playing on instincts. Yes, you've got the game plan, but like I said, the adrenaline, you haven't had time to really think about the process of starting and get yourself psyched up and into that mode. That was the ULM game. And of those three games right there, the ULM game was Arch's worst game. Yeah. But what I love about that is go look at the adjustments in his game from ULM to the Mississippi State game, and how he handled pressure was a big one. He talked, like you said, Rod, he's going to go through progression. So there are going to be chance opportunities for him to those pressures to convert into sacks more often. But in terms of dealing with pressure in the deep ball, and take a look, all young quarterbacks that have a big arm are going to trust their arm too much until they learn not to. Though sometimes you learn, hey, discretion is the better part of valor. I'm going to live to fight another day. I don't have anything to prove by trying to drive this ball in between six defenders, right? It's just unnecessary. Not only did Arch do that, but he even said after the Mississippi State game, he said the ULM game, I realized I got too greedy with the deep ball. I took chances I didn't need to take. And the throw that gave me a lot of confidence in that what we think about Arch, what we assume about Arch, what we hear about Arch, that it's all legit. Go back and look at the touchdown. Like you said, Rod, he's a big game hunter. Go look at the touchdown pass to DeAndre Moore right before halftime in the Mississippi State game. It's a 5-step drop and there's pressure coming and he's staring down the gun barrel and he knows he's going to take a shot, but he still steps up, delivers the ball. Moore beats his man on that slot fade, and Texas scores. And you could tell Arch was pumped when he's on the ground and he realizes that ball got completed and it's a touchdown. That's the kind of stuff that makes him special is I'm going to hang in there. I know this is going to hurt like hell and I'm going to take a shot, but you know what? It's going to be worth it because if I complete this ball, it's a touchdown and we're off and running. So I just love the adjustments he made cleaning up his mistakes against ULM to the Mississippi State game. That gives me a lot of hope that we're going to see that week over week improvement from Arch the more he plays.
That actually is, I think, the best point that anyone can make about Arch is that no, it wasn't like we didn't see him make mistakes. Hell, through an early pick, right, in that ULM game. But the prodigy in him, you can see him learning in real time from the mistakes and then adjusting his game and then learning from them and then improving in real time. You can actually see it. You saw it from start 1 to start 2. So you're right about that. And I actually love what the UTSA game showed me was that and Sark said this. Sark said he has great instincts. He said, I don't want to dull his instincts and I don't want to neuter. I'm paraphrasing. He said, I don't want to neuter his instincts. I want him to be, because that's what he did. That game plan wasn't for him. That was a Quinn game plan. That wasn't for Arch. Now Sark knows what Arch likes and what Arch prefers. So when he gets in there, I'm sure he's adjusting his play calling. But that Arch didn't go through the whole week with the first team reps and all thing and the game plan being put in for him. That was him, like you said, kind of going off instinct and his ability to adjust. Which I think he's great in those situations. And then the ULM game just kind of showed you with the week of practice, and he went out there and made some mistakes, but then the next week versus Mississippi State, man, and he was spectacular in that game versus Mississippi State. Yeah. So I'm with you. I think if that continues, then there's no doubt if he continues to learn at that rate and develop at that rate, then yes, the sky's the limit. Then we are talking about him actually reaching all of the expectation levels people have for him, which are Heisman, #1 overall pick, that kind of stuff. If he's learning at that rate, because that was pretty phenomenal to watch, but it was a very small sample size.
It's it instincts. When I think about quarterback instincts, it's weird. Like you could take so much from The Last Dance, but one thing I took from there is something Brendan Malone, the former Pistons assistant, said that Chuck Daly said about Dennis Rodman when he had a young Dennis Rodman. And they're talking about, man, he's just out there, but he's this hellacious rebounder and he plays on instincts and effort. And they're trying to coach him. And Chuck Daly says, hey, you don't put a saddle on a Mustang. But that's effectively, Rob, what we're saying. You talk about instincts. Yeah. That's effectively what we said about Sam Ehlinger for 4 years. Mm-hmm. Like you can't muzzle him. Like that's what makes him special. Now, with Sam and Arch is very different. With Arch, it's like, all right, sometimes you got to learn, hey, you got to get rid of it a little quicker. The clock in your head needs to speed up. With Sam, it's like you can be physical without trying to prove a point by barreling into safeties. Like that's not smart. That's not good for your long-term future. But in different ways, it's the same thing. Like you want him to be instinctual. You don't want a robot at quarterback. I want a guy that's got that feel, that can play on instincts, because that's how you ad-lib, that's how you extend plays. And the best you call the scramble route is the most effective play in football.
It is.
I take it a step further. A quarterback however you do it, your ability to extend plays is the ultimate equalizer. Because just like we saw with Cade Klubnik and Sam Levitt in the playoffs, you can have the right front, the right blitz, the right coverage. Your defensive coordinator can be 100% right, and that call can be executed to a T. But the quarterback's ability to ad-lib and extend the play can make you wrong at the end of the day. And granted, Sam Ehlinger and Arch Manning, two very different ways on how to get the job done. But still, I don't want to take their instincts away.
Yeah, and I think the NFL has accepted that too. I think Sark's accepting it as well. Go look at the quarterbacks he's recruiting now. And they all kind of have that improv ability, because in the end, going back to kind of Shanahan, because Shanahan once told me this, got to find me a quarterback that's going to make me right even when I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. When my play call is wrong, my scheme was wrong, our protection was wrong, whatever was wrong, that quarterback will make you right. That's your Josh Allen, your Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes in that conversation. That's what you need. I think Arch is bringing that. Quinn didn't have as much. He's had a little bit of that, a little bit. But Quinn didn't have that. Quinn needed the circumstances to be right around him, the conditions to be right. And he was phenomenal when that was the case. I don't know if the conditions have to be right for Arch. I think he can make you right.
I feel like I feel cheated, because I just feel like Quinn, because of the injuries, we've talked about it, Rod. We never saw that sustained run of success for Quinn that we've seen all the great Texas quarterbacks have. Yeah. And a lot of it had to do with injuries. He just wasn't available all the time or healthy enough to put one of those runs together. But at the same time, when you talk about quarterbacks Sark has recruited, even though they might not fit the definition of a dual threat quarterback, I love that Kyle Shanahan quote because the first thing I thought about, go back to the 2022 Texas-Alabama game, that 1-point loss Texas had at home. That was the difference in the game, was Bryce Young making Bill O'Brien right when he was wrong.
Ryan Watt.
Ryan Watts comes screaming off the edge. 9 times out of 10, that's a sack. You're out of field goal range. You're up against it. You lose the game. That one time, that one special player using his instincts slips out of it. That was the difference in the ball game.
Yeah, and Bill O'Brien, I'm not a Bill O'Brien fan, but he had a brilliant strategy in that second half. All he did was he went empty.
Yeah.
And he was basically like, Bryce, if you ain't got it, run. If you got it, throw it. And he basically stressed Texas with his legs and with 5 receivers out on routes. It was a brilliant strategy at the time.
That and you remember at the beginning of that drive, that game-winning drive Bama had, Bill O'Brien has the right idea. Hey, maybe I should call a pass for Jahmyr Gibbs. Maybe I should try to get him the ball in space.
Hey.
Maybe, just maybe.
Exactly.
Then again, that's why, that's you and my brother, Rob. My brother is a disgruntled Texans fan, and it's the Bill O'Brien PTSD that he's still trying to work through. You guys could commiserate for a while on Billy O and his shortcomings with the Texans.
Yeah, I could. People don't want to hear it because y'all ain't Texans fans, most of y'all. But oh man, Bill O, those are tough times. But anyway, Texans are doing good now. So are the Longhorns. How about this super chat from Colin? Colin says, any early thoughts on Oklahoma and their new offense? Will have a strong D again, and they won 6 games last year with an abysmal offense. Thank you, Colin, for the super chat. By the way, appreciate it. I think Brent Venables is going to have the defense right. I got too much respect for him as a defensive mind. So I think the defense will be legit. I'm not saying they're going to be elite. The defense will be a strength of the team. That's just what Venables does. Bring in Ben Arbuckle, though, and John Mateer. People have a big question about whether he can, play against SEC caliber talent. I think the kid can play. I like John Mateer's game. I'll give you a couple of John Mateer stats. I got a bunch of them here. Okay, so he had 50, according to ESPN, he had 53 broken or evaded tackles. According to Pro Football Focus, that was 58. That led all quarterbacks, by the way, in broken or evaded tackles. If you look at scramble yards, I talk about scrambling being the second, basically the best cheat code in football these days. I mean, this dude was a fantastic scrambler. He was number 6 in the FBS in rushing yards via scrambles. He almost, if you look at his rushing stats, I mean, the dude was damn near at 1,000 yards. He had 14 players have posted at least 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, 9 yards per attempt, and no more than 10 turnovers in a season. John Mateer was 36 yards shy of being in that club. But of those 14 players, 13 of the 14 were drafted in the first 15 picks. 6 Heisman winners, 8 Heisman finalists of those groups. You don't get close to that group without being a baller. I think the guy's a baller. I think he can play. He's just what we were talking about. He's the kind of quarterback that can make you right even when the play is wrong. Mm-hmm. So I think he can play. The question is, does he have weapons to throw to? And will the offensive line be in shambles? But he can play, and he's going to be in the same system that he was in when Washington State was, I think, 9th in explosive play rate in the country last year. Pretty explosive offense.
I'm with you, Rod, on giving Brent Venables the benefit of the doubt. Just fielding a competent defense, a defense that's capable of stopping people. I think up front, they're going to be really good. Our Mason Thomas is going to be the guy that you hear a lot about in terms of preseason all SEC. Hell, he'd probably be on some preseason all American teams. But I think from a depth and talent standpoint, their defensive line is really good. My question with Oklahoma, though, you mentioned it right there. They're going to be – they've got to be healthier at wide receiver this year. I mean, it can't be worse than it was last year. I mean, I've got buddies, Rob, that are like dyed-in-the-wool, OU fans from birth. They couldn't tell you what the hell that receiver did. They're like, who the hell is that guy? I never heard of that guy. So, like, they didn't know week to week who. And I'm talking about I'm talking like Emmett Jones and the offensive staff. They didn't know week to week who the hell they were running out at wide receiver. Yeah. So they were really banged up. They got him a good running back in Jade Knott, probably the best running back available in the spring portal window. My thing is the offensive line, though. It's been so bad. And I don't think it's a detriment, it's a knock or anything on Bill Bedenbaugh. I think push comes to shove, he's the best O-line coach in the country. I just think it's the fact this is several cycles of lackluster recruiting really catching up with them. And the fact that they don't really have any homegrown talent on the offensive line. A lot's going to be on Mateer to extend plays and use his legs and basically facilitate offense on his own. I just wonder, playing the schedule they're going to play, does that catch up with them at some point? And does that result in Mateer being unable to do that? And at that point, where do you go offensively?
Yeah.
So to me, it's all about, man, I'm not saying the 2025 OU offensive line has to resemble their 2017 offensive line, but man, you can't be getting your quarterback killed. You got to be competent at least.
Yeah, his mobility will allow them to insulate him a little in pass protection. But listen, he's got some boomer bust in his game too. He really does. Listen to this: no quarterback that averaged at least 9 yards per attempt, if you go look at it, had a lower rate of off-target throws than Mateer. But you'll look at he had the second highest allowed pressure percentage at 33%, or at least they did. And that's on him, a lot of that. But he was sixth in scramble yards. He allowed the second most sacks of any quarterback. Talking about quarterback responsible sacks, second most sacks of any quarterback in the FBS. But also finished fourth in the FBS with a 94 NFL passer rating under pressure. His stats just all over the place. Like, there are some that are really bad, and there are some that really highlight like how really just how his second reaction ability can really help an offense. So he's boomer. He's got some boomer bust in there. If you're Texas, you're hoping that when you play him, it's more bust than it is boom.
I said this about OU before, and I'll say it again. I've seen this movie before. I've seen this episode before. I've seen it at Texas way too many times, where you're excited about the quarterback, you're excited about the play caller, but it's like, all right, what is around said quarterback? Like you said, Rod, they weren't just rough on the offensive line. They were god awful on the offensive line last year.
Oh yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah. Their skill position, with the exception of the proven commodities at wide receiver they had that were just hurt. This is some of the, I'll be honest, man, it's some of the worst OU skill talent I've seen, Rod, in probably the last 25 years.
I wouldn't look at
game breakers.
I wouldn't look at explosive play rate. Basically of every team in college football. And Oklahoma, second lowest of any team that I can see right here. They had a 4% explosive play rate, guys. The only team that was lower was Kennesaw State, I believe, at 3.7%. Like Texas was at 9. Yeah, Texas was at 9.5% explosive play rate last year. That put them in the top 5.
Yeah.
Oklahoma was at 4%. That's abysmal.
Here's where explosive play rate helps you out, though. We saw this with Texas. It can help you overcome the times where if you got a quarterback that's got kind of that boomer bust factor, or just quite frankly just turns it over as often as Quinn did last year. Explosive play rate is one of those things that can help you overcome. It can get you back on track offensively really quick. But if you don't have that, and somebody mentioned, I want to make sure I give them credit. Duke mentioned it in the chat, and I see a couple other people mention it. You look at Mateer and you look at Diego Pavia, what Diego Pavia does for Vanderbilt. Mateer can do some of those same things for OU. I think he can. But if you watch enough Vanderbilt football, Pavia makes a lot of plays. But, Rod, he's going to make 1 or 2 plays during the game that potentially could take you out of it. And do you have enough juice offensively to be able to overcome that? I don't know that OU does.
It's a good point about Pavia. And Pavia did that against Texas, right? Remember that throw into the end zone? Like, what the hell was that? It went through like 2 people's arms, and they had to run into the end zone. Some guys they're just playmakers at the quarterback position.
I'll go by the Mike, as I'm going to call it now, the Mike Elko theory on how close a football game is. The Mike Elko toe-to-toe theory, if you will. You go back and look at that Texas Vanderbilt game, and it was a 3-point game. But if Vernon Broughton doesn't get called for a personal foul on that just just unnecessary throw that Pavia threw up for grabs that Kobe Black picked off in return for a touchdown. Instead of a 27-24 game, we're like, oh man, Texas only played Vanderbilt within a field goal. It's a 31-17 game, and if you just looked at the score, you're none the wiser on how it happened.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. It's a good point. I agree with you on that. All right, let's thank our friends over at Vonlane as we approach close to the end of our live stream. We got a few more questions. We're answering a couple of the topics, but let's thank our friends at Vonlane. When you're traveling through Texas to all the major cities in Texas, Austin, Houston, DFW, San Antonio, well, it's a bit of a toss-up, right? Do you deal with the airport chaos and the overpriced items in an airport and potentially your flight being delayed, or do you decide to drive and deal with the hours of lost productivity? You deal with traffic and road rage. Well, there is a third option, and it's better in each and every way, folks. Our friends over at Vonlane. Vonlane, make sure you arrive at a luxury hotel terminal. No TSA lines, no long-term parking lots, just a seamless boarding experience that takes minutes, not hours. You'll settle into a plush leather seat, hot towel and pillow and blanket are at arm's reach. Your attendant offers complimentary snacks, beverages, and on select trips, a full meal if you would like. And if you need to relax, you can lean back and enjoy the ride. And if you want to stay productive, there's high-speed Wi-Fi and power at every seat. While you're unplugging or powering through, the Vonlane team is monitoring traffic in real time, using smarter routes and efficient detours to keep your trip smooth and on schedule. And now is the perfect time to plan your fall travel. Booking is open through September. So whether you're headed to a college football game, like a lot of you will be, or a weekend getaway, or a business trip that needs to be done right, Vonlane makes the journey part of the reward. Vonlane serves Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, and San Antonio, and in the Southeast, Atlanta, Nashville, and Memphis. Visit Vonlane.com. Use the code OTF25 to save $20 off your first ride with Vonlane. That's Vonlane, Elevated Regional Bus Transportation. Vonlane, VONLANE.com. Thank you very much to Vonlane. We appreciate them and all of their support up on Texas football. All right, a couple of the things that I wanted to get your thoughts about, since we're kind of talking about Arch and kind of getting into the season a little bit, and some little football theory here, but not much of it. I want to ask you about the Texas wide receivers a little bit. We were talking earlier. We're actually going to start doing our preview, so folks know out there. We were talking about Texas, Georgia, and the wide receivers for me.
Ohio State.
Texas wide receivers first. Texas wide receivers. I'm talking about Texas wide receivers. Sorry, misquoted. We were talking about the Texas wide receivers. Yeah. And do you think this year that the circle of trust is going to shrink? I feel like last year the conversation was they was able to expand. I feel like this year it might shrink. I think this year we might, just in terms of the guys you actually have in the rotation that are real. Now, early on, Sark may play a lot of different guys, but once he gets his staple of guys, I think it may be back to 3 this year. I think you may be back to 3 when it's
I can see that. I can see that, right? To me, like the time between your last non-conference game, which I'm not looking at the schedule there. What is it? Sam Houston, I think, is the last non-conference game. And then you got the bye week, and then you go to Florida. I feel like it could be I don't think there could be a circle of trust in those 3 non-conference games. In other words, I think it'll get sorted out. And then by the time you go to Gainesville, then I think you see what the circle of trust is. Like right now, I think you would definitely say Wingo and DeAndre Moore are the only guys you could probably say are really in it right now, right?
And white chocolate.
Part of Livingstone, yeah. Emmett Mosley, I think, is going to be in there. And then, maybe one of the freshmen. Hell, maybe Daniel McCutcheon, who had a really good spring. Jamie French is really freaking talented. Kalik Lockett, I think, probably has maybe the best upside of anybody in that freshman group. And then to me, that's not a thing against Michael Terry, because Michael Terry to me is just a wild card. I just consider him just positionless player almost, even though he started his career wide receiver. So I say all that to say, right, I think you could take those 3 non-con games after Ohio State to sort some of that out. And then by the time you go to Gainesville, it's probably I don't think it'll be as small as 3, because even with Moore, Wingo, Livingstone, and let's say Mosley gets in there. That's 4 right there. So, but maybe it's just those 4. Maybe the freshmen just, aren't ready for it at that point.
I mean, you were at 3 when you just had Worthy, AD, and Jay Witt. I mean, you didn't have really a 4th off of that.
Nah.
I mean, you had guys who got reps and played. That circle was pretty much those 3 guys. You look at the reps. I feel like maybe it's going to go back to that. I'm not saying somebody, this guy's going to get kicked out of it. I just haven't heard as much buzz. Remember when Ryan Wingo was coming out? We were at buzz about Wingo. We was like, that guy's playing. Like, he's going to play. Like, literally, it was like, he's making plays against the starters in practice right now. He's going to play. And Parker Livingstone's probably the only one I've heard, like, oh, no, that's a guy that wasn't necessarily a starter, but he is going to play with the wide receivers. And I feel like he's the one. And I know the Emmett Mosley thing. People are excited about Emmett Mosley. And maybe Emmett Mosley comes in and makes a huge impact. He could, because that's Sark and transfer wide receivers. But I just feel like it's true, because I feel like the tight ends, I feel like that role is going to increase, because I feel like Jack Injuries is going to come in and do what JT and Gunnar Helm have done at that position. But I also think Jordan Washington's about to, give you a little bit more, I would say a more productivity at that second tight end than you've had, more balance, I should say. And you're playing more 12 personnel than you've played since Sark has been there. So 12 personnel is going up.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to continue to go up. And I do think when you get healthy running backs, knock on wood, your 21 personnel, your pony package should go up too, because that's one of your most explosive and one of your most efficient personnel groupings, period. And so I just think that there may be increase in usage of different personnel groupings that only have 2 receivers on the field. And then I think ultimately 11 personnel, I think he may get to the point he only trusts 3 guys necessarily. Think about Emmett Mosley. I know he's great and he's smart. He's got to come in and learn the offense. And we think Parker Livingstone is going to be that guy. But I think getting Emmett Mosley was a bit of an insurance policy, like, just in case it doesn't translate to the game like it looks in practice.
Yeah, and plus, I just like the fact that you've got a guy with a year under his belt and a really productive year under his belt. That's a really good get from the pool.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not
trying to hate on Mosley. Anyway.
No.
I feel like last year I said Circle of Trust would be expanded more so than it ever has. I predicted you would have 6 different games with a different leading receiver. You got that. All right. I'm just telling you right now, I got to feel like we got shrinkage happening. I feel like just what I'm studying when looking at that things might be shrinking a little bit in terms of the wide receiver circle of trust. Last year, it was what? Matthew Golden, Bond, Wingo, Moore was in there. Who am I missing? Miss anybody?
Silas Bolden, technically.
Bolden kind of cracked it after that Oklahoma game a little bit. I mean, you had a big circle of trust in.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, Rod, but I will say a lot of that, if it's going to be a small group, you're going to have to, your tight end room is going to have to. I think about where the offense was in 2023, right? Jatavian Sanders didn't have a catch in 2021, and he had come off one really productive year in 22, and you knew he was a proven commodity. You didn't really know Gunnar Helm was a proven commodity going into 23. But you figured out pretty quick, all right, you can play 12 personnel with those 2 guys. And as we come to find out, it's 2 legit NFL tight ends you had and running 12 personnel for you with those 2 guys. So I think a lot of that's going to come down to, like you said, the ability to play with multiple tight ends with injuries in Washington, because Washington injuries is a veteran and a proven commodity, and Washington's just been there longer. Like Nick Townsend's not even technically on campus yet. So you got a guy that's been there a little bit. And then, how does Sark handle the running backs in the pass game? Because we know the backs are going to be involved.
Yeah.
But to what extent? Is minimizing Trey Wisner's usage in the passing game early? Is that going to be a way to make sure he's got tread on his tires through the meat of your conference schedule? How much you're going to get CJ Baxter involved? Christian Clark, if healthy, that's what they recruited him to be, was to be a guy that could be really involved in the passing game. So I think a lot of it's going to depend on the tight ends first and foremost, but how big of a part of the passing game are the backs going to be?
Yep. A big part. You know how that is with Sark.
Yeah.
Backs in the passing game. That's another part of it. Good point. All right, one more question and we'll end the live stream. Ryan says, Jeff Rodby, talk about your faith in the war daddy potential of our 2025 freshman D tackles in a couple of years. Sharma, Charles, Justice Terry don't need to play right away, but they have great futures. I do think Justice Terry's going to play right away.
Yes.
Yeah. I think they're going to force the issue there because they believe he's a prodigy and they can accelerate his development. So I think he plays right away. The rest of the guys, Josiah Sharma, you're right about this. Myron Charles. I think you can, because you brought in how many D tackles in this 5 in the last 2 last 2 transfer portals. I think they would like ultimately to get to where they were in 2022, what they inherited, I should say, in 2022, where essentially they have almost 3 classes, if you will, of D tackles developing in the pipeline. Like think about where they were in 2022 and think about that D line group now. Like all 6 of them basically. And those that was your right. That was your third.
Draft. You had 6 draft picks.
Yeah,
in that defensive line room.
In that D line room, 6 of them in that D tackle room. And honestly, that's wild. Vernon Bright, I guess you can throw him in there too. Ethan Burke is gonna get there. It's gonna be a wild scene when it happens. But I think that's where they want to get to. And it's tough to get there. You got to give Texas a lot of credit for being able to recruit that type of talent and depth at D tackle. And I think that's the dream spot for anybody. Right now, Texas has the only streak in the country, guys, where they've had multiple D tackles drafted in each of the last 3 years. No other college football program in the country has done that. Not Georgia, not Bama, not Ohio State, not Michigan. Nobody's done that. That is wild.
If you look at it from the standpoint of let me pull my depth chart up real quick just so I can, because I think I'm on the right track here. But if you look at it from what you got out of the portal in terms of the multi-year guys you got out of the portal, like what's on campus right now, I think it's real easy to get so enamored with the portal, Rod, that you forget about a guy like Alex January. And we heard good things about him in the spring.
Yep.
So don't forget that Alex January is still a part of this roster. But you've got, Hero Canoe's got another year left. A guy like Melvin Hills, I don't know what Melvin Hills' future is, but, between Alex January, Murad Watson, who's coming off of a freshman All-America year, and then Justice Terry, Sharma, and Charles, I think between guys, you could, whatever you get on your interior, but keep in mind, like your 2026 defensive line haul could be really deep and talented too. So I think now, like you said, Rod, I think you've got a chance. I think Sark has seen the blueprint and PK seen the blueprint. And they're like, all right, how do we get back to that? I think the fact that you've got 2 sophomores with January and Watson, presumably with NFL futures, those are the 2 guys I think that can get you back on track.
Great.
Cole Brevard and Shaw and even Hero Canoe to an extent, they're kind of to bridge the gap.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when you go into 26, you should have a hellacious tandem with Watson and January, with Justice Terry effectively being like, if you want to call it 1A, 1B, 1C, that's probably what it should be. You'd have Charles and Sharma coming off of redshirt years. Your newcomers for 26, presumably one of those guys will be able to play. Now you've got your guys staggered and you're able to run them.
Yeah, like 4 NFL D tackles. You basically want 4 NFL D tackles in your rotation, and they love to rotate those out. I remember talking to Keandre Colbert. I was like, "What makes you guys so effective?" He was like, "They keep us fresh. And we don't get a lot of reps." He said, "So when you're out there, you better make sure you maximize your reps, because if you don't, coaches is going to take like 4 or 5 reps from you and give them to somebody else."
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what he said Coach Davis was doing back then. He was like, he said, guys noticed, like, hey man, I got 25 reps this game, and I only got 20 reps in this game. Like, oh, they noticed. All right.
You forget, like, you go back to 22. There were times where I forgot, not because I forgot he was there, but you get through a game, you're like, damn, I think Alfred Collins put like 2 snaps.
Yeah, no, exactly. It was like, what happened? It was like, well, there was no time. I mean, we had no more reps left for him because you were in the game and then you worry about situations, different things like that. So I think you made a great point about Texas. The guys right now are bridging the gap, and Alex January is going to be part of. Murad Watson will be part of that group that starts that kind of new transition where they have all the years staggered, where they have, 2 guys every year coming out, but then 2 guys coming up. And they're in the rotation. Yeah.
Marco Mendez says in the chat, thank you, Marco. Basically, what I was trying to get to is they've got quantity right now. They hope that they want that quantity to turn into quality. So that way you don't have to have another portal cycle where you'd have to take 5 defensive tackles.
Yep, good point. Someone said, what is her walk-up song? Are we talking about Leanne? Her walk-up song is Solo by Future, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if she actually accepted what the walk-up song was. She just explained her process. All right, let's thank our final sponsor of the evening, our friends over at Advanced Pain Care. And we have 2 legendary lifetime Longhorns to give you a very special message from Advanced Pain Care.
Pros know the pain stops here.
Physical therapy helps me as an athlete then and now. And do I still need therapy? Yes. Advanced Pain Care helps with that.
Injuries will stack up. They'll add up. You can't let those injuries get you down, and Advanced Pain Care has been very helpful for me.
We can help with whatever's got you down, from nerve damage to our spinal cord stimulator. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Same-day appointments available.
Advanced Pain Care. The pain stops here.
All right, thank you very much to all of our sponsors, Advanced Pain Care, our friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery, flatcreekstate.com, South Point Dodge, southpointdodge.com as well. We appreciate all of their support of On Texas football. And thank you as well to our friends over at Vonlane, vonlane.com. Use that code OTF25. You'll get $20 off your first ride with Vonlane. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes. He's the real MVP. Thank you, Jeff, as well. And thank you as well to Leanne Goode, our fantastic guest earlier today, and best of luck to her and the women's softball team as they compete in the Women's College World Series coming up later on this week. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate all the expertise and knowledge.
Real quick, Rod, we've been doing the show, so I haven't been able to surf Twitter, but I just looked. The center field wall at Dishfalk sustained some pretty serious damage. The storm just passed through, so I don't know what that means for Friday, but I would imagine they're going to work probably overtime to get that fence put back up and to make sure it's in working order for the regional. So I couldn't tell you about contingency plans or anything like that because I don't know that anybody at Texas knows. I think those calls are probably being had right now.
Yeah, I mean, no, weather got crazy. I mean, I got one of those warnings on my phone, like the severe weather warnings, and I didn't get it here, but some people in the chat were talking about the severe weather and stuff. Shout out to my man Kevin Dunn, who does a great job covering Texas baseball and put out some photos of the damage.
Yeah.
They'll get it fixed quickly. Yeah, they'll probably work in the night to get that fixed.
Yeah, I don't think there is if you're hosting a regional, there really is no contingency plan. So I mean, you got to get it fixed.
They'll get it done. No doubt. All right. Thank you guys for all your participation. Really appreciate that.
Thank you, Duke.
Station. They aren't usually there. Well done. Way to end the show on a nice Aggie jab there. I love that. Thank you guys for all your participation in super chats and all the questions. If we missed any of the questions, we apologize for that. Please direct them to the gentleman at Coffee and Football tomorrow morning, bright and early, 8:15 with Jerry Hamilton and Bobby Burton. And I'll be back tomorrow with the winning drive. That'll be at 3:15 tomorrow with myself, CJ Vogel, and Coach Bob Shipley. And for Jeff and for Matthew and for all of our sponsors, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em.